Okay, we have a very interesting lecture today where we're going to discuss one specific hormone that is either going to keep you fat or get you lean. Now, how I'm going to deliver the information in this lecture is I'm going to hit you with the science first, then I'm going to give you real life actions, and then obviously we're going to understand how we can use this weapon to either kill this transformation and get shredded, or to understand how much of a cancer it can be in keeping you fat and the way you are. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Tom Sergi. I run the Gorilla Platoon, which is an online physique transformation program where we get results like this each and every week, and then we just speak about them online so you can apply our methods, our teaching to your own training. Just from guys watching this channel, they've messaged me on Instagram with like their own results they've got just from watching the channel, which is amazing to see. You'll see some of those come out very, very soon. Okay, so what is this one hormone that we speak about? It is dopamine. You have definitely all heard of this, but I don't think we've really done a deep enough dive and worked out how it can be an asset and how it's also being a cancer in your life. So let's get into a little bit of the science first. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter and a hormone that plays a crucial role in the brain's reward system. This will influence your motivation, movement, mood, and pleasure, all very, very important in the context of getting shredded, jacked, becoming the 2.0 version, getting results like this, transforming from 30% body fat to 10% body fat. All of this is very, very important. We need to have motivation. We need to be able to move. We need to have good move. We need to gain pleasure from this situation. Now, let's get into a few interesting facts I found. So let's look at some of the functions. So with dopamine, you've got the reward and motivation function. Now, obviously, this is something we're going to want to turn on very, very thick and fast during the process. So dopamine is released in response to pleasure experiences, reinforcing behaviors and motivating you to repeat them. So we can understand that during this transformation, you're going to need this literally in your back pocket to always deploy, reinforcing behaviors, doing those same behaviors consistently. This is a key part of the brain's reward circuit and involving development of addictions. Notice addictions. Addictions can be good or bad. If you're addicted to get 10,000 steps every day in an hour in sunlight, you're going to be a very healthy individual. However, if you're addicted to junk food, you're going to stay pretty inflamed and pretty darn fat. Dopamine is essential for movement. It's essentially going to stop you from getting Parkinson's disease later on in your life. If dopamine's good, you move well, you're not going to get that fucking deficiency later on. Cognitive functions. This is another important one. Very important, actually. Plays a role in attention, memory, learning, and decision making. If your dopamine is in good order, you're not going to cheat on your motherfucking diet because your decision making is going to be better. If your dopamine is low, your decision making is going to be poor, so you're going to cheat on your diet. So now we're starting to understand the need for good quality dopamine running through your brains. Here's another important one. Other functions also plays a key effect in the heart rate, blood pressure, kidney function, sleep, mood, regulatory of the hormone prolactin. If your dopamine is in the bin, you've cooked your dopamine, your prolactin will be high. Now, prolactin is not inherently a bad hormone in itself. Prolactin is more of a hormone that regulates the body to say, I've had enough of something. If you have a big satiating meal, you will have a released prolactin to not want another meal. Otherwise, you just keep eating till you're fat as anything, which a lot of people do. It also, which you can understand now how like foods high in like saturated fat and sugar and stuff, they obviously increase dopamine, which decrease the prolactin, therefore you're able to just eat a lot of it. The hormone prolactin, as a lot of you will know it, is released when you've nutted. When you've busted a nut, you release prolactin. Now, prolactin is not bad, but high levels of prolactin are what pregnant women have. You do not want higher levels of prolactin as a man because you'll be satiated, you'll be lazy, you'll be low mood, you'll have low libido, and you won't feel good about yourself. So we can understand that having your dopamine in a good order is actually going to decrease this hormone, regulate this hormone to a healthy position so it's not too high. If prolactin is too high, your testosterone is not going to be in the best space it possibly could be. If dopamine is in good order, you're going to sleep better, which sleep really will reset the dopamine for the next day. So you can see how they go hand in hand. If your dopamine is cooked and you're not able to sleep well, your decision making for the next day is going to go down, and you're just not going to be that effective. Same for the mood. If your mood is garbage, you're not going to want to go and train hard, push things to failure, say no to certain foods, stick onto a plan, feel the hunger and push through. Anyway, you're not going to want to do that. So we can understand that if your dopamine's cooked, your chance of survival, your chance of getting through a transformation and actually getting a six-pack, the chances are very, very diminished. Let's get into medical relevance. Low dopamine levels equal low levels are associated with conditions such as Parkinson's disease, restless leg syndrome, depression, which right now is probably, these are probably later on in life, not great, really not great, but right now, low levels of dopamine are going to lead to depression, leading to symptoms like fatigue, low mood, lack of motivation. You are never going to get to 10% body fat if you hold all of these traits. If you are fatigued, low mood, and lack of motivation, good fucking luck trying to get there, because it just won't happen, right? We need the polar opposites of all of those. Now, you're going to accumulate fatigue from, weeks on end of doing cardio, of course you are, but we can fix that within a few days of de-output. So we cannot have low levels of dopamine for this reason. There is no way you're going to get to 10% body fat if your dopamine's in the bin. High dopamine levels, excessive dopamine levels can lead to, I can't actually pronounce that word, so I probably should have taken it out of the slide, but I'm sure you can read from here. Medical treatment. Dopamine is usually treated in conditions such as low blood pressure, heart failure. High doses can have adverse effects, so we want to be careful of that, but we'll come on to that in a second. How it works. Dopamine is produced in the brain from an amino acid known as tyrosine. Tyrosine, what foods hold tyrosine? Conveniently, all of the high protein dense foods, turkey, chicken, red meat, and eggs were all on the list. So for that reason, we're going to be in a good position. The receptors are involved in different functions such as memory, cognition, and impulse control. Impulse control, that is an important factor, because if you're an impulsive individual, you'll be walking through the store, see a bright, shiny bit of wrapping around some chocolate. What are you going to do? You're going to pick it up and you're going to fucking eat it. We need that impulse control in fucking good order. So, good versus bad dopamine. This is what we want to understand, because at face value, you may think dopamine is dopamine, but it isn't. There is things such as bad dopamine. What do we think bad dopamine could be? Let's draw a line down this page. So the first one, bad dopamine, is going to be any high sugary, processed, and saturated fat foods. So we've got foods that are highly processed, sugary as fuck, and also high in saturated fat. So we don't want any of those because of the bad dopamine, because it's going to cook you, because of the reasons we spoke about earlier. I also read too much internet use and stimulation is also bad for dopamine, which, to be honest, in the modern day, they're going to be your main two. And then we've also got things like drugs and alcohol. But I think if you're into getting to 10% body fat, you're probably not doing too much of them. In fact, you motherfuckers definitely are doing both of those. So all of these things we need to limit. We need to limit out of our day so that you're able to bring down bad dopamine. And essentially, when I say bad dopamine, I mean don't fry your fucking dopamine receptors, because when these are fried, you're going to be in a position of low mood, fatigue, lack of motivation, high fucking prolactin, like you've just nutted all the time, and you're not going to be able to stick to anything for long enough. So really, why you're not able to get in shape, and what does this actually mean for you trying to get shredded, is the reason you can't get shredded is because you haven't cut these out. Like, it kind of sounds obvious with the food, but even just this, and also we've got to manage stress as well. High stress equals bad dopamine. Bad dopamine, remember, is fatigue, lack of motivation, poor mood, is also, where was it where it spoke about here we go, decision making and impulse fucking control. So we understand all of these things are bad in the context of a transformation in terms of getting shredded. So what you need to do is start to cut out all of these. Now, naturally, if you come inside the Grill Up 2 and I'm saying you ain't going to drink any alcohol, you're going to follow my exact meal plan. You're not going to eat processed foods, which, to be fair, in the fitness industry, there is the space where people eat cereal for pre-workouts and obviously they smash a load of shakes and also like just other protein highly processed foods. For me, everything's whole food for this reason, but just because of the nutrient density you're going to get from whole foods anyway. So we must understand we need to cut this out completely. We need to bring this down as well. This is probably where most of you are going to fall down, to be honest. If you're online just all the time, constantly, you're going to cook up your dopamine receptors massively because you're just there. Stimulation, stimulation, stimulation. Real, post, this notification, this bit of beef, this bit of internet drama, this bit of someone coming at you. Like, it's just like cortisol spike, bang, 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 bang. Just high stress leading into the poor dopamine yet again. So we need to cut these out. What is classed as good dopamine then? So good dopamine is going to come from anything that's really, and the way to look at this now, anything that is a little bit more challenging now but rewards you after, more than likely will bring you good dopamine. So an example of that will be a cold shower. You get in the initial 3 seconds, it's uncomfortable. I mean, it might be uncomfortable for you for a minute after, but when you get out the shower, the warm blood rushes to the body and you feel electric and you get the good dopamine. Good dopamine can come from cardio, specifically aerobic training. It can come, to be honest, from doing anything hard, like resistance training. Good dopamine is going to come from you sticking to what you say you're going to do and achieving and being productive. So we'll call that sticking to a routine is also going to increase good levels of dopamine. Getting out in sunlight is a massive one for dopamine. So there's two stages to sunlight. There's in the morning, 10 minutes. And then you want to get at least like 1 hour. I mean, depends on your skin tone, where you live and stuff. But let's try and make the conscious effort to get 1 hour in the midday. So in the morning, 10 minutes. In the midday, 1 hour. I know I'm asking for a lot, but you know what? I'm going to get you to do 10,000 steps, which is also going to be good for dopamine. And you can tie the two together. Now, so we can see how the good dopamine, ticking these off, obviously in the initial stages, are going to be more challenging. But after you get the reward, and what is the reward we get for good dopamine? We get attention, we get learning, we get memory, we get good decision making. It regulates all of these here. It lowers the prolactin so that we're not, feeling satiated and we're hungry to keep getting after more. Reinforces behaviors, which means if you get good dopamine from reading, from meditating, from going to the gym, progressing, eating a clean diet, if you get all the reinforcing behaviors from this, what's it going to do? It's going to motivate you to repeat them. This is amazing because now you're working for yourself. Remember, we had two options. You are either going to do the bad dopamine, which is addictive, and you keep doing it. It makes you feel bad after. So what happens? You then keep doing it to try and feel better. And you just keep going round and round and round. This thing just kind of gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you're like just completely cooked. And this is what people do. And that's why people need to go on like a dopamine detox when they've just absolutely fried their receptors and they just feel sad as fuck. And even like any high they try and get just doesn't work anymore. But we can do this for the opposite. You understand that you need to do the uncomfortable thing now. You get in the cold shower. You do it, you feel great after it. This reinforces that you need to keep doing it. And then you keep doing the thing. And then this circle would technically get bigger because you're doing the good habits. And it would keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And your good dopamine would keep increasing, which would increase the strength of you to do the good habits, which would get you to the goals. You see why when I said this is either going to work for you or work against you because of this very factor here. So we can understand that when you want to get shredded, you need to fix this first. You need to cut out all the bad dopamine that you're doing, which most of the time goes hand in hand with being in a calorie deficit. And you need to structure a new routine that is set up for good dopamine. So rather than setting the goal of 10% body fat, set the goal of like chasing good dopamine and set your routine up rather than for 10% body fat, but for good dopamine. Because in a weird way, if you wanted good dopamine, you are going to get shredded because all of the factors here are going to make you feel good, confirm what you are doing, and you're going to feel good about the process. And because you feel good about the process, you're more likely to stick to it. You're going to be consistent. You're going to stick to it over the long term. And because you do that, and it's conveniently, a lot of these go hand in hand with getting shredded, you're going to be in a great position. You're going to get lean. So if you want to get in great shape, a lot of you might not be because of bad dopamine and you just feel cooked and fried, you got low motivation, low mood. You need to look inwards at what you're doing to fry that. And for the most part, you're eating processed foods, you're scrolling socials too long, you're taking drugs or alcohol at the weekend, and you're fucking stressed out your brain. You need to cut all of these out. You need to absolutely, like alcohol, gotta go. Processed foods, gotta go. Social media can just condense the time you're on it to, I don't know, progressively deload how long you're on it. If I was to pull up your screen time, it'd be high as fuck, right? So let's say you try and regress it to an hour a day at 8 p.m. at night. And then you go to every other day. This is what I once did in 2020 when it was locked down, because I realized I was just on it all the time, because obviously we were locked down, there's nothing to really do. And I was like, this has got to go. So I did this, regressed down to X amount of hours per day. Then I went to every other day. Then I went to like 3 times a week. Then I went to just once on a Sunday. Then it was every other week on a Sunday. Then it was none at all. And then I didn't have it from like May 2020 until I moved to Dubai in 2022 around the August time. So best part of 2 years I didn't have it. And once it's gone, you honestly don't miss it anyway. That's like just a little point for you. Obviously I'm on it now because I use it for work, so I'm going to use it now for sure. But back then when I had no real reason to be on it, I just thought, fuck it, I'll just get off the thing. So try and reduce this a lot now. You can watch my videos on a fucking dopamine detox because there's no editing. They're dry as fuck. I'm dry as fuck. So you ain't getting much dopamine or bad dopamine from this anyway. You're actually learning something from this process. So you want to reduce this down. And then naturally, I think just by reducing these, where you reduce inflammation, bad dopamine, stress will come down anyway. And because you're improving these, the good dopamine, like naturally your stress will come down anyway. So this is the one hormone you need to nail down. Get this right and you'll swim downstream towards the goal. Get this wrong, you never mind swimming upstream towards the goal. You are, but you'll get off and get on the bank and just walk off because you just haven't got a fighting chance of getting there if you don't get this in good order. Again, if you want to get results like this, there'll be a link in the description. Come join us on the inside. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you found it useful, and we'll see you tomorrow.